Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, you ever had this happen? You have everything planned out, and you look back on it and you go, wow, that sure didn't come out the way I planned it. Okay, you might be like, oh, I was going to have a picnic at the beach, and me and my wife are going to go there and have a great time. And it turns out that on the way to the beach, the car breaks down, and by the time you get there, it's pouring down rain, and you're all soaking wet, and it's just not like the perfect date that you had planned. And so anyway, you're going to see that happens today. It happens today with Haman. Things didn't work out the way he planned, and he was like saying, well, I guess that didn't work out the way I had planned it. So we're going to be reading today from chapter 6 of Esther. It says, that night the king could not sleep, so he ordered the book of the Chronicles, the record of his reign, to be brought in and read to him. It was found recorded there that Mordecai had exposed Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, who had conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. Let me stop you there. The king can't sleep, and so he asks for this book to be read. Keep in mind, he had like all the women, that he wanted that could help him sleep or whatever. And everything at his disposal, and yet he chooses to have this book read to him. And probably not the most exciting book, but it's a book about his history, okay? And I don't know if he picked out this particular book, but the guy that brought it in and read was reading this to him, okay? And keep in mind also that that not that many people read in those days, so he probably had someone special to just read this book, someone who probably wrote it, okay? So this guy reads it, and so it's just amazing the way God works everything out. The king can't sleep, okay? All because of God. And then the guy picks out this book that has this section in it. The king says, what honor and recognition has Mordecai received for this? The king asked. Nothing has been done for him, his attendants answered. The king said, well, who's in the court? Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the palace to speak to the king about impaling Mordecai on the pole he had set up for him. Okay, so this has gone on through the night, apparently, and it's like early in the morning when the king is still not able to sleep. And he asks for this, and he's having a discussion with his attendants who are reading this book to him. And they say, hey, who's in the court? And Haman comes in because if you remember from the last episode, he was all excited. He had set up the pole to impale Haman on that was 75 feet high. Way extreme here. Okay, 75 feet high, about 7 stories tall. So he has that set up, but he needed the permission of the king to hang Haman on there. And so he's coming early in the morning, all excited, to do this. And here he comes into the court. So verse 5, his attendants answered, Haman is standing in the court. Bring him in, the king ordered. When Haman entered, the king asked him, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Now Haman thought to himself, who is there that the king would rather honor than me? Now he's getting this idea because the king has honored him in the past here. And remember, he was all in high spirits because the queen had invited Haman, and the only other guy besides the king, to this little banquet twice. All right. Now Haman thought to himself, who is there that the king would honor rather than me? So he answered the king, for the man the king delights to honor, have them bring a royal robe the king has worn and a horse the king has ridden, one with a royal crest placed on its head. Then let the robe and the horse be entrusted to the one of the king's most noble princesses. Let the robe the man the king delights to honor, and lead him on the horse throughout the city, proclaiming before him, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Can you imagine? That's quite a show. Verse 10, go at once, the king commanded Haman. Get the robe and horse and do just as you have suggested. For Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate, do not neglect anything you have recommended. Can you imagine? Haman is like standing there. It's probably like smiling, like, oh, this is going to be great. I love it. And he's standing there. And then when the king says, do this for Mordecai, his smile turned into a big frown. He was like, oh no, what? Everything is changing really, really quick now. Okay? He came for the purpose of wanting to kill Mordecai. Now the king says, parade him around, do this. So verse 11, so Haman got the robe and the horse. He robed Mordecai and led him on the horseback through the city, proclaiming before him, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Wow. How would you like to be the one that has to say that? With the guy that you wanted to kill earlier. And he's going past his house, probably, past this gallows, and his wife is looking at him like, wow, why are you doing that? You're supposed to be hanging the guy, not leading him around on the horse. Verse 12, afterward Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman rushed home with his head covered in grief, and told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had happened. He was just devastated, okay? So he goes home to his buddies and his wife, and just tells them everything that has happened. Not exactly the way he had planned. It gets worse, though, okay? His advisors and his wife Zeresh said to him, since Mordecai, before whom your downfall has started, is of Jewish origin, you cannot stand against him. You will surely come to ruin. Can you imagine your wife saying that? Your wife just said yesterday, build this gallows and hang him on. But now she's given a day to think about it, and she's like, oh, Mordecai is Jewish. You're not going to defeat him. He's going to defeat you. Your own wife says that, okay? And your buddies are saying that. And so that's another blow to him. But it doesn't end there. Verse 14, while they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried Haman away to the banquet Esther had prepared. So all this is happening, these events, one right after the other. And this last thing here, his wife has said, you're not going to defeat Mordecai. He's a Jew, okay? And he doesn't even have time to think about that before it's time to go to the banquet. And he has the eunuchs come and are taking him there. They're ready for him. And so it's like all these events, when he looks back at the day, or probably looks back at the days as he's on his way to the banquet, and he's going, wow, this day sure did not happen the way I planned it out to be. And it's because of his rage and anger. Okay? And that's changing everything, and it will lead to his death. All right, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through the book of Esther. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.